a recording for just posterity's sake. Let's. Jessica, you probably missed earlier when you were having your troubles. I left all my notes of names in Dallas. So we're gonna wing a lot of this, and I'm gonna probably end up putting you guys on some tighter rails to get to the end. Wait a second. Hey, here's my notes. When we last left you guys, you had taken John and bound him and ridden up the elevator to what is essentially the presidential suite. Doors had opened, and there was Leela's suite, tossed, ransacked, and she's nowhere to be found.
I don't remember.
So,
I got an opening thing because I know you. And that's my eyes are on John Jonah. Like locked on. In fact, I've got an arm around his neck. And another arm with my blue milk. And we're buddies now. We're attached at the hip because he is not getting away from us just because something weird's happened.
We got the data pad back from him, right?
Right.
I
do you have
assume
the data pad?
I assume that we gave that to Lizzie. Is that her? Yeah, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
All right. I keep getting it mixed up with your real name for some reason. Sorry.
That's okay.
Dottie is definitely, he kind of hung back from the group. He didn't like getting surprised like that. And so they kind of go on ahead. He's not too far back, but he's kind of checking the trail, making sure no one else is going to come out of nowhere thing. So he's kind of looking behind them, looking around corners. So he's in the hallway currently. If it's like hotels, he's kind of
there's not a hallway for this one. This was a top end suite that adjoined Freema.
Does it go straight up to like an elevator right?
You left. Yeah. So the elevator doors literally parted. You're in the living room of this hotel room.
Okay. Sorry. So he's kind of looking around. So they whatever they're doing, he kind of split off and is just trying to check the area, make sure nobody is hiding behind a curtain or anything.
And because I missed this part of last session,
mm-hmm.
Do we think that the Imperials ransacked this suite, or do we not know? Like, what did John tell us?
When you last left your conversation with John, he did you did a roll, and you're pretty convinced that he didn't murder Freema. But he was investigating her for her rebel ties. And so he doesn't seem connected to Freema's death. But
not Freema's death, but Leela's ransacked hotel. Like, why they were there to steal the data pad? Like, what was their purpose?
Yeah, so where should we go for this? So this should probably be a little bit of a conversation, but let me kind of get back into John's mind of he doesn't look guilty or trying to hide anything. And he's got Tetz's arm around him, and he's kind of surveying the damage, and he's like, okay, guys, I think we got off on the wrong foot. You've got a little bit more trouble here to deal with that I don't want to get wrapped up. I can tell you this. I was just investigating Freema. I didn't kill her. And I think Bastio's your guy that you need to check in on him, but I can offer you 10,000 credits for that data pad, and just want to go on my way.
So you're saying you're a stoolie?
He's an imps.
I glance over at Lizzie and kind of shrug my shoulder at the mention of the money, and then start looking around the
I pull Kum
apartment.
Can you hear me?
Right
Yes.
now, yeah.
Okay, good. I want to pull Kuman aside.
Okay.
So
All right. So
we go to we go to a place that's farther into the presidential suite, so we're not like having this conversation in front of John.
So like the presidential bedroom?
Is there a kitchen?
Like the kitchen?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Kitchen.
That's with it. There's no tension in the
No.
kitchen.
A kitchen or
As far as you know.
the study?
Yeah, okay, that'll work.
Man, this is a fancy hotel room.
So we're over. We got Lizzie and we got Kuman in the study.
Okay.
How much do you think this data pad is worth, really?
I don't know. It maybe more than that to the rebels. I mean, how much would they want to keep it? Depends.
How much could they afford to pay to keep it?
Yeah, it depends on how much trouble it's worth to us, though. Getting rid of this pretty quickly might be a good idea. Although,
How much do we need it?
I don't know. Listen, the less we're involved with the Empire, the better, in my opinion. But it's up to you.
I would kind of like to have it when we have our conversation with Bastio, just as leverage. Although I don't mind selling it in advance before that, but maybe we can keep John around for a while. How feasible do you think it is being a high-level Imperial officer, intelligence officer, hostage? How long do you think we can do that before it becomes a problem?
It sounds to me like he's here for this data pad. So I don't think he's going to leave the planet without it, as long as there's a chance that he can get it. So if we turn him loose and hold on to the data pad,
He'd just keep following us.
yeah, or, we could always meet with him later to sell it to him.
I have an idea. This is great. Okay. What if we offer to let him temporarily accompany us for a crew, like an undercover operation, obviously, so that we can have him with us, so that we don't have to turn him loose so that he would work against us. We could say, like, look, we want to negotiate with the guy that Freema was supposed to meet with in this data pad, and like, I'm willing to let you enter into a bidding war with your competitor. Like, I will set up the meeting because we already have the meeting. You know what I'm saying? Also, I want to know who killed Freema and where Leela is.
I think if we give
But I feel like I need the data pad for leverage to find out that information.
I would agree.
And I don't want to just sell it to him right now.
I would agree. I think I don't know if we want him around though, and
We don't really, because I feel like but it might be a selling point for him because I feel like that's giving the Empire a little bit of an unfair edge, like an edge they wouldn't normally have, because I'm going to set them up in a meet with like a rebel contact at least.
I'm not sure
Right.
if that's something we want to do either. The rebels
It's
might
not.
take offense to that. Yeah.
Well, would they recognize him? Because that's what I'm saying. Like, if we bring him there as part of my crew,
I think that if he
not
did
as an
anything
Imperial officer.
Well, I was going to say, I think that if he did anything to the rebels, they would trace it back to us, so they'd be kind of ticked off. I've heard stories that say they're probably just as bad as the Imperials in some places. They kill people too.
Where can we hold him? Like, I don't have a holding cell because I don't want to cut him loose, because then he'll just ambush us again and try to steal it.
That's a good question. I'm not sure I know a place either. We could probably ask the
Chances are take him with us or something. But where could we?
So I think at this point, as you're asking that question, Dottie's going to wander into your conversation, who happens to have gang ties.
While they were, is there any way I could roll a perception check before I wandered in? I wanted to be kind of just looking around at the ransacking, see if there anything that stuck out.
Okay.
What would the difficulty be? Are you okay with that? Do you want me to do that before or after the? Yeah, the only reason I say before
during
is
this
because
conversation, and we'll deal with the hotel.
Okay, the only reason I said that is because in case there was something to share with them. All right, so Dottie wanders in. He was kind of looking around. He says, "Hey guys, I heard you talking about a place to lay low. I've got my place in the lower in the city, and also I think that the my soup garage will work just perfect for that. No one comes around. Trust me, I've tried."
Actually, Dottie, that's a fantastic idea. Do you think your friends could keep this guy secure and on ice?
Well, they definitely could keep them secure. I don't know if I would trust them to keep them in one piece per se.
Well, that's important.
I wouldn't. If it was up to me, I'd take them to either one of my two places, either my garage or my place, and I really wouldn't let the gang know about them. Things might get out of control faster than we can keep them in control if they get involved.
But you think we could stash him in one of your places?
Yeah, I would suggest my swoop.
Unsupervised?
I mean, you could tie him up. There's plenty of places to tie him up in my garage. I think it's a risk either way if the plan is to leave him alone, unsupervised. But you could tie him up. But I don't know if that's what you want to do. If you want to keep this guy, if you want to sell him the data pad to keep him happy, I don't know if tying him up is going to keep him very happy.
Okay. This is a good plan. We're going to use this plan.
You got it. Whatever you say. When do you want to leave? You want to leave now or you want to look around first?
I want to look around and I want to talk more to John.
Okay. Do you want to look around while you talk to him? What do you want us to do?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please. Will you guys look around, see if we can figure out because so what if Freema had rebel ties? That doesn't, Leela's hotel room's been ransacked. Also, Where is, let's see, the costumer starts with a B?
Bastio.
Where is Bastio? I feel like we haven't talked to him at all. We'd like to have a conversation with him now.
That's a good idea. He'd probably be staying with the rest of the crew wherever they are.
Final question, which I guess Lizzie, I as Jessica don't know, so I'm going to ask you, Andrew. How long do I have to get to that meeting? Referenced in the data pad. How many hours do I have before I have to leave to make that?
You picked it up with about 90 hours left, 89, 90 hours, and it's been you guys have worked probably about a full day or so, so you're 8 hours into it. So you got a full 2.5 days left.
Before Dottie leaves the room, he wants to ask Lizzie a question. So can I do that?
Yeah, ask your question, dude.
So before he leaves the room, he kind of pokes his head back in. He says, I don't really know how all this technology works for the most part. I'm more of a mechanical guy, but is there any way that we could, before we just sell it to him, but before we do that, make a copy? Kind of, you know how when your foot goes in the dirt, you can just make a carbon copy of it and then give him the original?
I think that's a great idea, Dottie. One of the best ideas I've heard.
Not a bad idea, actually.
I do what I can. I don't really know how it works, but kind of make a like for like model and get him out of the picture. I'm not saying Lizzie, you can use my garage anytime you want, but I'd rather not have any Imperial poking around there if I don't have to. There's some unsavory things in there, if you catch my drift.
Do you think that you could make a copy of this data pad while I'm talking to him?
I'll give it a try if you want me to try, but like I said, I'm more nuts and bolts than wires and sparks.
As you guys look at your skills, copying it is the same as trying to open it. It's going to be a 4 purple computers check to do anything with the data pad. So you can decide who you want to ask, or if you want to ask somebody else, you can make up a contact to try and make that roll easier.
So what's everybody's skill? I mean, I have a yellow, but I only have yellow and a green.
I have 3 green. What does that mean?
I'm going to be right back. You guys decide who you want to make that roll with.
If you can find something to copy this data pad onto, that'd be fantastic. But I would also settle for any information about who may have ransacked this hotel room and where they might have taken Leela and everybody that was in this presidential suite.
You got it. Whatever you say, boss.
All right. And before we come back, I want to know what Tets is up to with John.
Tets has got his arm still around John's neck, and he is just calmly sipping his blue milk, but giving side eye to John the whole time, just staring at him.
John is returning your stare. He's sized you up a little bit. He's going to shrug your arm a little bit and go to try and sit on the couch.
No. He's staying right here.
He kind of grunts at that and gives you a little bit of a side eye.
Sip some more of my blue milk.
What's it worth to you? Just let me go right now.
I ain't letting you out of my sight, fool.
You're bleeding all over the place. That can't feel good.
You shot me in the back. And since you shot me in the back, I ain't letting you out of my sight.
Well, it's the first rule of combat is to not turn your back on your enemy. And I just had an open shot. I just took it. There's no hard feelings here. I'm trying to get away.
No. I didn't turn my back on you. You ran away, and then you shot me in the back. So you're a coward, and then you're a coward. Twice.
I don't think that's how it went down. I think you might be remembering it wrong.
I think you're about 2 statements away from having the blue milk poured on your head is what you are.
And with that line, I think you guys walk out of the study.
Hey! Teds!
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping an eye on John. Can I have a conversation with him really quick?
Sure, he's right here.
Thanks. Why don't you go see if you can find something to wear?
What's wrong with what I got on?
What?
Well, it's half gone.
There's a bullet hole in the back.
There's just not enough of it?
Well, they keep these hotels so warm around here.
So, John.
Yes.
I know that you're interested in this data pad.
Yeah.
And I'm interested.
Contains information to take down a rebel cell, which I've been hunting for a better part of a year now.
Right. And I'm interested in not being burdened with this data pad because,
so
frankly,
we have a deal?
I don't have a dog in this fight. I want to know who killed my client.
Okay. Well, I mean, just a little free information for you to show you that we can build a little trust here. You know, I'd point towards Bastio. You know, he's not all that he appeared to be initially, and I had my guys tail him, and he's slowly becoming a little bit more unhinged. You know, he grew up with Freema back when they were kids, and she got the music contract, and he didn't, and she brought him on. It's just kind of help out with the wardrobe, but he's been gunning pretty hard to get his own show. I know that he made a pitch to Leela just last week, took her out to some run downtown, some theater, pitched a new show idea. I know it didn't go well, but outside of that, I cleared him all rebel activities, so it wasn't really my concern.
That's really good information. Thank you.
So since we're trading things here, can you take off these cuffs and I can transfer you the money, and I can just take the data pad and go. That's all I want.
I'm not quite ready to do that just yet.
I thought we had some kind of rapport going here.
We do. And in fact, I think that in your favor, this data pad for a little bit longer, because I might need to use it as leverage against Bastio in finding out.
Why would Bastio be interested in rebel information? Do you know something I don't?
Lots of things.
We found this in his stuff, right?
You found that in Bastio's room? I thought you guys were coming out of Freema's room. She was the only one who had rebel connections, as far as I could tell, after vetting the whole crew. So
we were in Freema's room, but this was in with the costumes and stuff. It was in Bastio's area.
I mean, he puts the stuff in there for her, but I don't think he didn't do any work in her dressing room. She was pretty private. I mean, that was what turned us on to her being a rebel agent, was the fact that she would go in and make her own costume changes, didn't want anyone else around. And as soon as the show was over, she would leave for the hotel without an escort or anybody with her. After following her, she made a few contacts. That was her MO. She was using the concert to travel around and make different rebel connections for the Rebel Alliance, which is why we're here. You know, we're after any information she has on any of the cells, and we were getting pretty close. It was, I was likely going to have to kill her soon, but I'm pretty sure it saved me the problem.
Well, until I find out exactly who killed my client, I'm not willing to let go of this data pad, because maybe it's Bastio, but maybe it wasn't. And this data pad could be pivotal. But I'm not unwilling to sell it to you.
I'm a little confused because, we're talking about selling it to me, but you're also talking about holding on to it. So
I want to hold on to it temporarily, which means I want to continue to hold on to you temporarily.
Now, I don't like that at all.
I didn't quite like it when you shot me in the back, but that happened anyway. So sometimes things happen that you don't like. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think you would like it, but what if I sweeten the deal?
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like I have much of a choice if I'm staying your prisoner. And that's going to probably become a headache for you, because Mr. Smith, I'm due to check in with him pretty soon.
Or a backache.
I thought that Mr. Smith would check in with you. Aren't you heading up this operation?
I am. When I go dark for too long, they have to come and find me.
I'm not against you checking in with them as long as you don't.
I'm not sure I'm willing to be a cooperative prisoner.
But in exchange
what they want us to do at Imperial Intelligence, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure not. But what if I were to offer you something that you could not get in any other way?
I'm listening.
What if I were to offer you firsthand intel on the meeting, the rebel meeting that was set up?
Do you have the name of the rebel contact that Freema was supposed to meet?
No, I do not. But I do have a time and place. And so if I go, I'm not interested in meeting with the rebels or their contact or any of that. Like that, all I care about is who killed my client. And I found this obviously very controversial item among her personal effects. So if I go to further my own investigation and am willing to share pertinent details with you after the fact, would that not aid your investigation?
Well, you've got me over a barrel here, but just to be clear, from my perspective, you're holding me prisoner until you can meet with the rebels, and I don't get to go. And I just have to take your word, my captor, that you're going to tell me how that meeting went?
All I care about is who killed Freema.
All right. Well, I highly recommend that you check out Bastio. He was getting really jealous of Freema.
According to you, but just like you're not willing to take my word for it, I'm not willing to take your word for it. I can't just say, oh, well, clearly because this Imperial guy says that Bastio was jealous, he must have killed her. Like,
all right. Well, then how about a trade? I can corroborate my information by showing you the theater that Bastio, he somehow, I'm not sure through what channels, but he is likely hiding out there. I mean, he never came back to his hotel room after you guys released everyone from the concert. So I can show you where Bastio is hiding, most likely. And in doing so, I would like you to hand me the data pad and I'll be on my way.
So
Wait. You were following Bastio even though you said he wasn't a rebel contact? Why do you care?
right.
We were following Bastio to make sure he wasn't a rebel contact. I mean, he did purchase property on this planet just before arriving.
Yeah, but you cleared everybody. When did you clear everybody?
Well, Bastio was the last one to clear because he had the furthest ties back to Freema. Leela's been cleared since the beginning of this thing. We made sure that she was in charge of it since we knew that we could trust her.
Yeah, speaking of trust, I don't trust this guy, Lizzie. He's saying that he's been working on this for over a year, but we got from our notes when we interviewed him, he's only been in bed with him for 3 months.
That's a good point.
Right.
He's full of shit, if you ask me.
Cover operations have you run?
Here's the thing, John. Can I make some kind of perception check to determine how truthful I think he's being, how open and forthright I think he's being about the information he's giving about Bastio?
Certainly.
Would you say that Tet's being there and quote unquote assisting is a setback or a boost die?
If it's anything, it's a setback die, but we'll leave it clear for now. I'm not certain that Lizzie's listening to Tets all that intently.
Lizzie is taking Tets into account. Like, she acknowledges Tets.
We should add a setback die.
I mean, I didn't say she was listening. I said she acknowledged.
Okay.
What is 1B?
It's a blue, and you get
just-
it from your force tree.
Oh,
It'll
okay.
add it in automatically.
So I need to leave that alone.
Yes.
I'm going to take that off. Cool.
It's a dice that's added to any and every perception check you make.
I see. Got it. All right. So she makes her perception roll and gets.
Oh, so you're missing 2 red.
Oh, how do I add that?
You could roll up at the top of the dice pool. You could just clear it
that's
and roll
right.
2 red, and we'll replace the second 2 purples on that. So the 2 threat and a failure.
Wait a minute. Top of the dice pool. Oh, here we go. So I have 3 purples added in, and you're saying I don't need any purples. I need 2 reds.
Right.
Correct.
Okay,
The
so
dice pool should have been 1 purple and 2 red. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Sorry, still learning this.
It's no problem. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Well, would you?
So I just canceled myself out, basically.
Are you going to take this
So
dice roll or
it
do 2
counts?
red and put it to the other one?
She
Because that'd
said
be a
she wa-
success and a
Should I just re-roll?
No, she said she just wanted to re-roll, and then she
Oh,
got this
okay.
awesome result. So
Yep. So first thing to note is when it's a complete wash in terms of successes and failures, it's a failure. So you've not perceived the truth of John's personality. And come the tell me what you want to spend the triumph on.
Feel about that? She just feel what?
So basically what we're saying is that Lizzie is having a difficult time getting a read on John, one way or the other. Your gut isn't telling you anything. However, with the way the dice work and you have a triumph, you can spin that. You can take input from the group if you want, but you can now add in an element either to your dynamic with John or some piece of information that you want to be true, you can make true. And then likely the results of your despair are going to be secret for a while.
If you got nothing,
I don't use the triumph.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Can I save it for something else, or does it only?
I would prefer to apply to this role. You don't have to apply it directly to John, but this conversation and this moment in time that you made the roll for it applies. So you can notice something in the room. You can bring in an ex machina of whatever you want. But it's this moment while you're trying to read John, something happens. So what do you think it should be? And it looks like Frank might have a suggestion.
Only if you want my suggestion. I'll shut up if you don't care.
No, I do want it.
I mean, it's pretty convenient that you rolled a triumph and something huge as finding something that we could copy this over to is hanging in the air. So maybe like while you're getting a difficulty reading, you somehow manage to see either another data pad or something that we could copy this data pad over to in the room.
I was thinking along the same lines, but not quite the same thought. How do you guys feel about using the triumph to give Lizzie an accurate idea of how much this data pad is really worth, so she's not getting screwed over? We may not be able to copy it, but if she knows its true value, then she wouldn't get underbid by some Imperial.
I mean, I think both are valuable. You know what I mean? It's like, is this worth copying over?
Well, the information was encrypted, right? Maybe in the course of copying it, Triumph revealed, broke the encryption or something, and might give us some of the information that's on it.
I don't know if we could apply the Triumph to that because it's another check. We have to do a computer's check to see if we're even capable of doing that. So I don't know if the Triumph could apply to that. It's another role, yeah.
Yeah.
But Lizzie might have a contact that could do us.
Yeah. It's difficult since you rolled a perception check, I think, if I'm not trying to speak for Andrew, but
somebody who's a
specialist. I think you'd have to perceive something. That would be the Triumph, how the parameters of the Triumph. You'd have to notice something. Or
it doesn't have to be within, it just has to be within the moment in time that the perception was happening. And it has to happen no, it doesn't. Because there's not a lot of limitations that need to happen to it. But it does. I wouldn't trade it I wouldn't give you guys a copy of it, but from what Jessica was saying, could definitely give you the full read on John on what he values that to be. Like give you some of that knowledge tangentially.
The value of it.
So the suggestion that I have, one of the things you can use a Triumph, they have it there on the screen. You can notice details that can be useful later to gain a boost die on future interactions with the noticed object. But you were reading John, so maybe you saw a tell, but you don't know what that tell means. But that's going to be something future that for a boost dice in all future interactions with John, that he's got a tell, and you'll start noticing when that tell goes off and when it doesn't. That might be an idea that's the idea I had.
I think it's just up to you, Jessica. I think they're all advantageous. So whatever you think is.
Yeah. The only other direction that hasn't been put on the table is you can impose something on John too. You could say that from your Triumph, you guys have kind of an unspoken connection now that he trusts you. You don't know if he's telling you the truth, but you know that he trusts you. You only get one though, so you have to tell me which one.
All of them.
Right. Can Lizzie get a read on the true value of the data pad? Like, before I ask for that. I want to know if it's possible. Not just the true value of the data pad to John, but to use her knowledge of what's going on politically between the rebels and figure out.
Yes, you could spin your triumph, and I will reveal all the details about the data pad. It's plot points and all of that. I can do that.
That sounds good to me.
That's what I want. Lizzie needs a payday because she's got people she's got to pay, and right now she doesn't have rent money. So.
And Dad already bought his feeder part, so he's wanting to get paid.
Right. So.
All right. So you're catching it in for all the truthful information about the data pad.
Yes.
Cool. So the data pad isn't going to be valuable to a lot of different parties, but it is definitely valuable to both the Imperials and the Rebels. The timer that's ticking down on it clearly is indicating that there is a sell-by date for what information is on this data pad. You have a name, you have a location, the expiration date for the data pad. So that data pad is supposed to make it to the contact at the location before the time ticks down. Not if you get there by the time it ticks down, then it becomes useless. And this information is clearly vital to a secretive rebel cell. So it's going to contain names of contacts and trading locations or something along those lines. The Imperial intelligence would take this data pad and hack its encryption and basically hunt down and exterminate any rebels that are on there. So John's price of 10,000 credits, he is likely offering you hit the remainder of his operation budget done. So he wouldn't be able to negotiate it up from there. And so the rebels may or may not pay for the information. You might be able to hold it over their heads, but what you know in terms of the clandestine is that there isn't a transaction number on this information. And John's talking about Freema as if she's embedded with the rebels. So there's not a lot of money on that side. So the true value of selling this data pad for credits is going to be with John.
Thanks for joining us. You know the deal here. Subscribe to stay tuned to our misadventures. If you enjoyed us, give us a like and hit that bell icon. And of course, keep us honest on the rules and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time on the Dicey Cantina.